So we have this problematic Beitsa that the last two halachas seem to be talking about a sukkah of a mitzvah. And it seems to say that Rabbi Shimon, who would normally let you use the wood of a sukkah, but not if it was a sukkah of a mitzvah. And then the last part of the Beitsa says, but if you make it tonight, then it's okay. The Gemora seems obsessed with that. Well, what do you mean? How can it be okay if you make it tonight? The kind of kedusha that the sukkah has on sukkahs, a real sukkah of a mitzvah on sukkahs, is a very high level of kedusha. It's like hektish. How can you make it tonight and
It's not deniable.
not deniable? So how can you circumvent that? The Gemora goes on that assumption. Never really proves that, but just assumes that if it's that high level of kedusha, you can't circumvent it. But then the Gemora brings this new Beitsa that actually says almost explicitly that yes, on a sukkah of a mitzvah, where normally without the Tanai it would have been like a hektish, would have been completely forbidden, because it's part of a sukkah of a mitzvah, it has the kedusha, as we said. But if you make a Tanai, then it's permissible. So you can't get out of it in this Beitsa. The other Beitsa, you could say the last part about the Tanai is going back to another kind of a sukkah. The sukkah that we were talking about in the beginning, the sukkah, what's the Gemora calls sukkah d'alma, a regular sukkah that's more like we call a gazebo, an outdoor just place to relax on Pesach and on Shavuos. So if we're going back to that, then the Tanai is just to help you in Hilchas Muksa. If all I want the Tanai for is to allow you to use something and that it shouldn't be Muksa, so that makes sense. That Rabbi Shimon doesn't need it, but even Rabbi Shimon would need it if it wasn't a weak sukkah. We said if it's a weak sukkah that's about to fall down, Rabbi Shimon would let you use the wood without a Tanai. But if it's a regular sukkah that's not about to fall down, but you just make a Tanai, if it falls down...
Where did it say that?
Huh?
Where does it say that he'd allow you to use it without a Tanai?
It says Rabbi Shimon's matir
Yeah.
to use the wood,
Yeah.
and the Gemora says that's talking about a sukkah nofelis, a
Yes.
sukkah that fell down.
Where does it say without a Tanai?
Because if you follow the step-by-step through the Beitsa, Rabbi Shimon's saying there you can use it, okay? Then it goes on to say, but if it's a sukkah of a mitzvah, you can't.
Oh, so it's the yoke kind of thing.
Well, it's just a matter of taking stock of the Beitsa according to what we're saying. That Rabbi Shimon seemed to be saying that you can use the wood of a sukkah if it falls down. To which the Gemora said, but how do you know that? I mean, we compared it to the shemen after the candle goes out, and then we said it's not a good comparison because that he knows is bound to happen, and the sukkah he doesn't know it's going to fall down.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just assume that Rabbi Shimon will let you use it once it becomes permissible.
He's talking about a
More
gazebo.
Kimta,
It's a gazebo. He's not talking about.
it's a gazebo. But the Gemara says even in Hilchos Muksa, how can Rabbi Shimon let you use it? He didn't know it would fall down.
Right.
To which the Gemara says, you're right, but we have to be talking about what's called the Sukkah Ra'ua, where he had suspicions it would fall down. So up till then, we have according to Rabbi Shimon, if it's a Sukkah Ra'ua that's prone to falling down, and it does fall down, and it wasn't a sukkah of a mitzvah, it was just a regular like gazebo type of sukkah that's from Pesach and Shavuos time, then Rabbi Shimon will let you use it without a Tanai.
But there was a kind of a Tanai built in there, wasn't it?
What was the Tanai?
That was one of the wobbly ones that he was expecting.
In a
to
sense,
fall down.
it's a Tanai that you and I would say we need it to be that case. In a sense, it's a Tanai because you and I stipulate it has to be that case. But a real Tanai that we're talking about here is where right before Yom Tov the man makes a declaration that will set in place the permission for him to use it tomorrow.
And he doesn't do that.
So Rabbi Shimon says
We're saying even if he doesn't do that, Rabbi Shimon would still let him use the wood from the sukkah that fell down if it would have been a sukkah that was ra'ua, that was wobbly or whatever you want to call it.
so only use the sukkah, only sukkah that's Ru'oi will allow you to use it.
Ra'ua, you say?
Yeah, only there.
That's what the Gemora says in the beginning. Maybe at the end we can read, right? But step by step in the Gemora, that's what the Gemora says.
The question is, how can it not help? You know, if it's
So at that point, there's no Tanai. At that point, there's no Tanai.
Sukkah's Ru'ua and
Sukkah Ra'ua is enough, according to Rabbi Shimon. You don't need a Tanai. The fact that his mind is already on it because it might go out, it might fall down, is like him having his mind on the shemen because the candle will go out at some point.
So isn't it kind of a tonight? But he's saying, look, if it doesn't fall down, I can't use it. But if it does fall down,
He doesn't need to speak it out. He doesn't need to say anything. We're saying it's just in his mind.
And that we said before that tonight is like preparation of these things. What is in the mind, you know? And you think you're going to, you don't have to really express it. You just think that this is what you're going to be using.
If a person thinks something explicitly but just never says it with his mouth, that's a whole question that whether you really need him to speak it, as long as he thought it explicitly, it's like speaking. But so let's just assume from now on, whenever we talk about speaking out of Tanai, it means it's explicit. But it doesn't mean that maybe if you think it explicitly, it's also going to be good. Could be that's the same level. Maybe you really need to speak it out. But the main thing seems to be that when you speak out of Tanai, you're revealing your intentions. And since Muksa depends on what you thought when Shabbos or Yom Tov came in, so according to Rabbi Shimon, if it's about to fall down, you were thinking about using it. Probably somewhere in the back of your mind was this thought that you might use it if it falls down.
See, what bothers me a little bit is that, I'm sorry, I'll just get back to this point, is that in the first case it seems like waiting, people sit and wait for the net to go out so that you can use it. That's kind of conditional. You know?
No, it's normal. That's the norm.
Yeah, but
I don't have to stipulate that. That's the norm.
They have an intention of using it.
It's not an explicit intention. It's a general. According to Rabbi Shimon, it's just a general. And Rabbi Yehuda argues, by the way. Rabbi Yehuda says no, that doesn't help.
Right.
So it's not explicit enough for Rabbi Yehuda to be happy.
Okay.
He says, I don't really know that you really thought about it. Or that even if you thought about it, you really felt it was a reality that was going to for sure happen. So again, if it's a wobbly sukkah that it's likely to fall down on Yom Tov, so then the Gemora is saying, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you still couldn't use it on Yom Tov if it falls down, because that's not enough for him, but just the fact that it could be that you'll have a chance to use it. But according to Rabbi Shimon, that's enough. That one chance is enough. Now, if it's not a wobbly sukkah, the word doesn't really speak it out. But all the Beitsa goes on to another case where it's talking about a regular sukkah from the mitzvah of sukkahs on sukkah, where we learn there's a whole new reality, that if it's a sukkah of sukkah on sukkahs, it's a real mitzvah, sukkah of a mitzvah, as the Gemora calls it, then it's actually hektish. So it actually has like a halacha as if it's hektish. So then the Gemora says that even Rabbi Shimon would say you can't use it if it falls down. Okay? But now, what if he makes it tonight? That's what the Gemora says. If he makes it, if he mishes, the Beitsa says if he makes it tonight, then he can use it.
He's not talking about sukkah now, he's talking about, not talking about the skach, he's talking about the goodies that he's hanging up all over the place, right?
That's the new Beitsa. I'm talking about the first Beitsa. It doesn't stipulate.
Okay.
Just says Atzei Sukkah, right? That's what the subject is. Atzei Sukkah. Eitzim min Sukkah. So we've already seen the Mishnah use the same word. Eitzim min Sukkah. And the Mishnah said that could be referring to the schach, it could be referring to the walls. So the Tana of our Mishnah and the first Tana of the Beitsa said the same thing. You can't use eitzim from the sukkah, which either means the walls of the sukkah or the schach. Either one you can't use. And that's talking about a regular sukkah, not a regular sukkah, we'll call it a gazebo type of sukkah, where it has no kedusha, it's just a structure which happens to be there that you want to use on Yom Tov, and if it, right, and we say that it means if it falls down, that's where the Tanna Kama is saying you still can't use it, because it's a problem of muksa. The Rebbe Shimon said you could use it because it's not a problem of muksa.
He's talking during Pesach and the shores, right?
Right. Regular Yom Tov. Let's say because 2 out of the 3 Yom Tovim are regular Yom Tovs, right? Are not a Sukkah Yom Tov, right? There's 3 Yom Tovim, so 2 out of the 3 are the majority. So it's an assumption. We're talking about the normal Yom Tov would be either a Pesach or Shavuos type of Yom Tov.
That would help, because it's not really hectish.
It's not hektish, doesn't you don't have the problem of hektish. The only problem you do have is that you're not allowed to take apart a building, which everyone has to agree. You're not allowed to take any of the schach away or any of the walls away. It's a problem of taking apart a building. Soisa. So on that, the Gemora says, but if it falls down, then Rabbi Shimon will let you take the wood. And the Tanna Kama, who's saying you can't take the wood, must be Rabbi Yehuda. So it's a muksa question. Even then, the Gemora says it has to be talking about a wobbly sukkah, or some kind of sukkah that's not so sturdy, because then there's some kind of an expectation that it will fall down on Yom Tov. So when it actually does fall down on Yom Tov, according to Rabbi Shimon, it was like the shemen that you expected it to become available sometime on Shabbos. Here, you expect the wood to become available sometime on Yom Tov. That's why you can use it. That's why Rabbi Shimon lets you use it. Because you never explicitly thought about it, you never spoke it out, but in the back of your mind there's an assumption that probably sometime during Yom Tov I'll be using these pieces of wood. And then the Mishnah said, the Beitsa said, but if he makes it tonight, then everything will go according to his tonight, which seems to say that even, right, that if it's a sukkah of a sukkah, a mitzvah sukkah, then if it has the kedusha of a real sukkah, then Rabbi Shimon won't let you use it. Even if it was a wobbly sukkah, doesn't matter. It's still hektish. But if you make it tonight, then it will work. Then you can't take from it. Which the Gemora didn't understand. So the Gemora originally said, the Rebbe Nashi, Bar Rava, whatever, said, we have to say it's talking about that last part of the Mishnah which says it tonight helps. Sorry, the last part of the Beitsa that says it tonight helps must be talking about a sukkah de alma, a regular sukkah, back on Shavuos and Pesach. Then we're saying as our last statement about it, that if you're smart enough to make it tonight before Yom Tov, it could become permissible.
So
tonight for the sukkah mitzvah.
Yeah. Right. But the Gemora originally said, how does that even help? How can it help if the sukkah has kedusha? How can it help to make it tonight? So Rabbi Menashe Breda Rava says, you're right. The last part of the Beitsa must be switching back to the first type of a sukkah that didn't have kedusha. Then all the Beitsa is saying is that if you have a sukkah like for Pesach and Shavuos that doesn't have kedusha, the only problem is the Shaila Muksa. And Rabbi Shimon said it wasn't even a problem of Muksa if it was expected to fall. It's only Rabbi Yehuda who has said it's still a problem because you're not sure it's going to fall. So then we'll say that if you made it tonight, meaning you made a statement that even you expect it to fall and you're going to use it if it falls, so then even Rabbi Yehuda will let you use it.
You know, Rabbi Yehuda holds a muktzah, but if it's expecting it to fall. Like we said previously before, he had his man on it from yesterday.
Yeah, but it's not enough that he expected it to fall generally, he has to actually say the words.
Or have in mind that...
Having it just generally in mind doesn't seem to be helping. I mean, Shabbat asked this a little while ago. What if he had explicitly thought in his mind, just didn't actually speak it out? It would be enough. The point is that you don't need it to be, you need it to be more than just a general thought in the back of your mind. In fact, it could fall down, and blah, blah, blah. It's just a general thought in your mind. So if you made an explicit statement about it, or you even thought an explicit thought about it could be, it would work, right? Because everything does go with the mind. It's just the question is, what do you have to actually think? So according to Rabbi Yehuda, it would seem you have to think, at least, to be somewhat plausible, that you have to actually think, I'm going to use this if it falls, or at least hopefully say it, then it would help. Okay? So, till we come to the new Beitsa, we have a few givens. What's the first given? If it has the hektish type of sukkah that's like hektish, then a tanai won't even help. If it's not that kind of a sukkah, just a gazebo type of sukkah, where there's no kedusha, then according to Rabbi Shimon, you do need that it was weak at the beginning of Shabbos or Yom Tov, but you don't need that he said anything specific about it. Just a general thought that maybe I'll be able to use it tomorrow is enough.
What did Shimon say again? You just...
So far we saw Rabbi Shimon saying, if it's a regular sukkah, a Pesach and Shavuos, like a gazebo type of sukkahs, just for the sake of getting fresh air, but it's not really a mitzvah type of a sukkah, then he says, if it was ready to fall down, you could use it. But if it's a strong sukkah, you can't. But here again, I wonder, maybe just like Rabbi Yehuda said, if you speak it out, then it's okay. Maybe here also, even according to Rabbi Shimon, if you speak it out, it's okay. That's a question I have, I'm not sure about. In any event, okay, so that's up until the Beitsa about Parchile and Avim, etc. Right? Until we get to the Beitsa that speaks about more explicitly about all the things you adorn the sukkah with, etc. We're thinking, if it's a sukkah of a mitzvah, nothing will help. Not even a tanai. If it's a sukkah that's not a mitzvah, then according to Rabbi Shimon, you don't need to make a tanai if it's a weak sukkah. But it has to have fallen down, and there's some kind of an expectation in your mind that it's going to happen, but you didn't really think it out. You didn't think out specifically it's going to happen. And you certainly didn't speak it out.
The sukkah of a mitzvah?
Sukkah of a mitzvah, nothing helps. Before we see the new Beitsa, nothing helps. Right? The Gemora is sure nothing helps. The Gemora accepts that as being true that nothing helps. Because sukkah of a mitzvah has kedusha. Nothing can help remove that.
We're talking about the wood now, not the...
Well, again, wood is the sukkah itself.
No, I'm not talking about the thingies you hang inside, the goodies.
Well, we said those become like the wood. Because that's what happens when you leave something there, right? We said it already before. When you leave something there, you're mevatel it to be there, then it becomes part of it. Okay. So let's go on to this new Beitsa now. So the Gemora says, Sukkah de mitzvah lo. You said Tanai doesn't help if it's a sukkah of a mitzvah. Meaning when you're trying to deal with real kedusha, hektish type of sukkah, the Beitsa originally said, seemed to say that a Tanai helps. The Gemora is saying no, it doesn't. But now the Gemora say what? It doesn't?
It's a question.
It's like a question. Do you really say it doesn't? But we have a Beitsa that seems to indicate it does. Tanya. Who would like to read the Beitsa?
Where is it starts?
Go ahead.
Where it starts. Tanya?
Please.
Tanya, Tanya, in a Beitsa, Sikacha, Hilchata. So we cover it according to the law.
If he did that, that's a past tense. Sichacha. If he covered his sukkah in the way that the Torah requires. And then, once it was already a proper sukkah, he went ahead and did what? He adorned it with either...
Korvim, curtains, Sadim, sheets, Matzveri,
Mitzu, Yarim.
Woven or patterned sheets. Vatela bar agozim, nuts, shakadim, almonds, persakim, peaches, romamim, and pomegranates, rachilei, and even bunches of grapes, yanot, wines, mashanim, fats or oils, silotot, va'atarot, shadalim, and stacks of wheat, sheets of wheat. La'asur histamfek b'hem, you can't use them. You're not allowed to use them. Admits as motzei yom tov, after yom tov. Shachar. Im tanai alehim, akol lefi hatanai. If you make it tanai, everything stands with the tanai. So Abaya Varava, the Amrei Tiruvahihu. So Abba and Rava come to explain the reasons for this.
Okay, so now we're at a point where we're going to need what? To be told.
Why?
Why, what?
Why we...
Truly?
Why let it use it?
When we brought this, we started with a phrase.
Question.
Uva sukkah de mitzvah lo. What was that question?
You can't use a sukkah made from mitzvah, you can't take apart.
Take apart is not the point. The point is the Beitsa. Let's get this straight. First halach in the Beitsa, sukkah on Pesach or Shavuos, you can't use the wood, even if it fell down. Rabbi Shimon says you can. Then the Beitsa says, but if it's a sukkah of a mitzvah on sukkahs,
No.
then even Rabbi Shimon meets you can't.
Shavin.
What?
Shavin. Everyone agrees.
Shavi, right.
Shavin.
Okay, so and then fourth, the Gemora says, but if you make it tonight, then you could use it.
Make it tonight.
Okay, somehow it seemed that your Tanai would help you to be able to use the wood from a sukkah, even of a mitzvah.
First, the Beitsa says you can't use this thing.
First, it said if it's a sukkah of a mitzvah, you can't use the wood, even according to Rabbi Shimon, that we just said you could use the wood. Because the first place when he said you could use it, it means of Pesach and Shavuos. Now it's saying, it's talking about a new kind of sukkah of a mitzvah, and he's saying you can't.
So, if you made it tonight.
And the last halacha says, but if you made it tonight, then everything goes according to your tonight, which means you could use it if you make the right kind of tonight. To which the Gemora immediately says, what? You can make a tonight and end up using the wood of a sukkah of a mitzvah, but it has kedusha. How can you do that? So the first answer was, you're right. If it was really sukkah of a mitzvah, no tanai would help. When it says in the Beitsa you can make a tanai, you know what it's talking about? It's going back to the original sukkah of Pesach and Shavuos, which doesn't have kedusha. Then a tanai helps. What does it mean a tanai helps? Not regarding kedusha. Can't help with that. But it can help with what we were talking about in the beginning. What we were talking about in the beginning, why did Rabbi Yehuda say you can't use the wood? Muksa. Why did Rabbi Shimon say you could use the wood? Because it doesn't hold a muksa. That's what the Beitsa would be saying. But Rabbi Yehuda, who said you can't use it because the problem muksa, would agree you could use it if you made it tanai. Tanai helps in muksa, everybody agrees on that. But we're still holding, at that point, that tanai would still not work.
More question, it's
for a mitzvah.
No work?
Just a second. So just at that point, we're saying the tanai that it says in the Beitsa works is going back to the original sukkah of Pesach and Shavuos. But a sukkah of a mitzvah, no tanai is going to help. Right? Mm-hmm. On that, the Gemora said, what? No tanai helps? But look, we have a Beitsa where it says it does help.
In case of the schach, right?
What?
In case of the decorations, it does work.
There's a lot of stuff in that Beitsa. He put schach on, he did this, he did that. Basically, by doing all these things, he made them part of the sukkah. He hung up this, he put this, he made it part of the sukkah. But that's basically like saying, not just the actual sukkah, even the adornments become kodesh, become hektish. Right?
Yeah.
So you can't use any of them because of the problem of hektish.
It says a sukkah the mitzvah loy. What does that mean?
Do you really want to tell me that you can't use a tanai to stop the kedusha of a mitzvah?
You can't use it?
And that's why you can't use the wood from the sukkah like that? Because no tanai is going to help? Because the kedusha is too strong? Is that true?
No.
But look at this Beitsa. It says if you hang up this, you hang up that, it becomes hektish and you can't use it. But if you make it tanai, you could use it. Mm-hmm. So what does that look like? A tanai helps or it doesn't help?
Doesn't help.
It looks like it helps. It says at the end of that Beitsa, but if you make it tanai, it helps.
When it's a loy, it doesn't help. You see, it does help.
That's right. We see it does help. Even when it's a sukkah of a mitzvah. How do I know we're talking about a sukkah of a mitzvah? Because it says you covered it with schach kehilchasa. So I know we're talking about a sukkah of a mitzvah. Mm-hmm. And yet it still says all these things that are usher. Why they're usher? Because they're part of a sukkah that has kedusha. And still, if you make it tanai, it helps. So it looks like tanai does help in a sukkah of a mitzvah. How can that be? We were saying the whole time it doesn't help.
Even Rabbi Shimon agreed when he said it.
So now, how do we explain this new Beitsa? The new Beitsa is saying a sukkah of a mitzvah tanai helps. That if you make the right kind of tanai, you'll be able to use it on sukkahs. How? It has it's like hektish. Didn't you tell me it doesn't help to block the hektish? So Abai and Rava now come up with a kind of tanai that would help. Because we're forced now to admit there is a tanai that helps. Just saying, you know what? He must have made a very funny tanai to be able to work.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see it inside. already had very strong. I had Matt's coffee, which is the strongest. But anyhow, if you see me falling asleep, just go and
Just
get
turn the camera on.
the camera off. Then you go get some water and pour it on my head. I give her issues. Okay, I better not fall asleep now. Okay, so now Bayan Rava. Who wants to read a Bayan Rava?
Really wants to read. Yes,
Baya Varava the Omri Travayo. Baya and Rava both said,
Right, which is also in and of itself a momentous event, right? They usually argue with each other like cats and dogs, lahavdil. And yet here they're agreeing, so it must be very strong svara if they could both agree on it. What?
Ein beide mehen kol ben hashmashos. What does beide mean?
Like separate, like Havdalah.
Ben hashmashos. The low char kedusha lami, because the kedusha does not fall upon left.
Okay, slow down. So what are we saying over here? What kind of Tanai does help? If you say the following words. What are the following words that you have to
I'm
say?
going to separate from them all betul ben hashmashos.
All of Bein Hashmashos.
All of ben hashmashos.
Now, what's all of Bein Hashmashos? Why do we need to talk about all of Bein Hashmashos? Because if Kedusha's Chal, when is the Kedusha Chal? Sometime during Bein Hashmashos. Why? Because what happens during Bein Hashmashos?
Yom Tov comes in.
Yom Tov comes in. As soon as Yom Tov comes in, it's a real sukkah with a real Kedusha.
Is it a bit like saying Marty ben Kodesh Achol?
That's the same word, yeah.
So there's the actual things
Huh?
Actions. Knowledge. So it's like saying that this is not Kodesh, this is Kodesh.
Not because of the Havdalah issue,
No.
just because the word is saying, I'm not separating from this. Let's say you put grapes up, right? We said before, why do I think it became part of the sukkah and it's like hektish? Why do I think those grapes suddenly became hektish? Because I wanted them to be part of the sukkah. Like Rashi said back in the Mishnah, I was mavatal it. Right? What did that mean? I meant for it to remain there and become part of the sukkah.
Yeah.
So I have grapes. Now normally grapes are not hektish. You have to make them into hektish for them to be hektish, right?
Bikurim, for example, is hektish. Bikurim is hektish.
Curry might be considered hektish. Yes, I don't remember exactly if it's. I mean, it definitely has kedusha. Whether it's on the level of hektish, I don't remember. I know you have to give it to a kohen, but I don't know if it has the din of hektish mamish. But okay, you hear what I'm saying? Now these grapes, regular grapes from the marketplace, and I went ahead and attached them to my sukkah. And we say, if I don't say anything special, they're usr. They're usr like every part of the sukkah. Why?
Because it's bittul too.
You made it part of the sukkah. That, like Rosh called that bittul, but basically in our language, you say, look, I wanted it to be part of the sukkah, right? But if I make my intention known, I don't want it to be part of the sukkah. In other words, it's almost like a tug of war. If I just let go of it, it'll get sucked into the kedusha of the sukkah. Just like the sukkah becomes kaddish, these grapes become kaddish because they're part of the sukkah. But if I say I'm not giving up on these grapes, I want to continue to own them, and they're mine, and I don't want them to become part of the sukkah. Can I hang on to my grapes?
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. You can. That's why the Tanai works. It's not that the Kedusha wants to come down and I'm not letting it. And that, the Gemora said before, you can't do that. You can't start to tell Kedusha what to do. You can't make a Tanai and tell Kedusha not to come. What you can do is what? Hang on to the grapes that you own. I own these grapes. I'm not letting go of them. Any bodel mehem. So in a sense, it's almost like a monetary thing. You can't take it from me if I don't want to give it up. I don't want to give it up. I want it to remain mine. So it's like I put grapes on your table, but I say, these remain mine. They don't become yours. So even if they're on your table, do you own them? No, I still own them. If I made it clear, I do not want to give up ownership of these grapes, right? Your wife called my wife and said, look, my table looks horrible. It doesn't have any adornment on it. So my wife said, look, I have a bunch of grapes. We'll lend them to you, right? So you have it on a bowl on your table, but who owns it? I still own it. I'm just letting you put it on your table to make it look nicer. But I'm still the owner. Same thing over here, in a way. I'm saying I put it on the sukkah, but I don't want it to become part of the sukkah. If it becomes part of the sukkah, then I can't make it tonight to stop the kedusha from coming. And the kedusha comes like a locomotive, we said. It's taking over the sukkah. You have a sukkah that's a real sukkah, the kedusha is right there. If you made your grapes part of the sukkah, nothing you can do to stop the kedusha from coming. But if you didn't really want the grapes to become part of the sukkah, yes, they're there. They're adorning it. I lent it to the sukkah for a few minutes, so to make the sukkah look nicer. But I don't want it to become part of the sukkah. I'm not separating myself from them. I'm not giving them up. Then it never became part of the sukkah, really. If it never became part of the sukkah, could the kedusha go on them? No, because the kedusha only goes on the sukkah. If it's not part of the sukkah, the kedusha is not going to go on them. Just like I sit at a table in my sukkah. Does my table become kodesh?
No.
No, I never made the sukkah. I never made the table part of the sukkah. It's inside the sukkah, yeah. It makes the sukkah look really nice to have a table in there. But I never want it to become part of the sukkah. It's not part of the sukkah. The kedusha doesn't come upon it. Kedusha only comes upon the sukkah, not something that just happens to be next to the sukkah. Right?
So, how does the Simpsons actually read?
What?
Any bordel in called vein hashmashos.
I'm not separating myself from these grapes.
What is that? Oh, you're not separating from the grapes.
I'm not separating from you. This is my cup. I'm not separating from
Oh, I
it.
see. I'm hanging on to these grapes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Physically, they're on. I attach them to the sukkah. But so what? It's like I put my hat on the peg. I walk in the shul. I put my hat on the peg. Does the shul now own my hat? Do I want it to become part of the shul because I put my hat on the peg? It's hanging on the wall in the shul. Does that make it part of the shul? No. It's my hat. I want it back in a few minutes when I leave the shul. If the gabbai comes up and says, "You can't take that hat. It's not part of the shul." I tell him, "You know what? We need a new gabbai in the shul. This guy's doing a bad job. He's all mixed up." So it seems that that's what's going on. But the Gemora says, Aval,
Atzei sukkah.
Atzei sukkah, the actual wood of the sukkah,
The chala kedusha alay, the kedusha falls upon it.
that you can't stop, apparently, right? You can't stop it from the walls. The walls are the sukkah. What are you telling me? You don't want to give up the walls? The walls are the sukkah. They for sure get kedusha. They are the sukkah. You can't tell me it doesn't have kedusha. Whatever is the sukkah gets kedusha. They are the sukkah. Then we say what?
Let's see. The chal is katzei l'shvua. Shiva.
Shiva.
Is katzei means
All 7 days. It's katsoi. Katsoi means what?
katzei is put aside.
It's like set aside, correct? Meaning I can't use it.
It's fixed.
But more in the sense that I can't use it. Like it's pushed away from me.
Pushed away.
Like we said, the word muksa really means like it's been pushed off to the katzeh, to the extremity, too far away from me where I can't use it anymore. That's what muksa really means. That's why the Mishnah actually used the word muksa to describe a yard in the back of the house. How could you use the word muksa to describe a yard? The yard is muksa. Yes, it's muksa in the sense, in the literal sense. It's something that's pushed off to the back edge of your house where you don't use things anymore. It's called a muksa.
This katzei means pushed off.
It's like pushed away from you, from your usage, from your realm of usage. Okay, so basically, it's a nice way of saying it becomes usr.
Yeah.
It's usr for all 7 days, right? So therefore, if it falls down, the sukkah falls down, can you use the wood of the sukkah? No. So what do we say now in the Beitsa? The Beitsa said, if it's a sukkah of sukkahs during sukkah, then what? What did the Beitsa say?
So it says you can't use.
The Beitsa said you can't use it, even according to Rabbi Shimon, and even if it falls down, because that's what we're talking about, a sukkah that falls down. But the Gemora said, if you made it tanai, then you could use it. What are we talking about there? Do we have to say now we're going back to talking about a sukkah of Pesach and Shavuos, or we could still be talking about a sukkah of sukkahs?
Sukkah of sukkahs.
Even a sukkah of sukkahs, you can make it tanai. But if you make the tanai, can you use the wood of the sukkah? No. You just have to say we're talking there about the other parts of the sukkah that were like the adornments that you hang up.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can make a tanai that helps. So it turns out a tanai can only help something to prevent it from becoming not the sukkah. But if something's really the sukkah, that's it. That's kedusha.
Could these adornments be smuch? Samoch?
If you make it tanai, basically you're saying I don't want it to become part of the sukkah. It ends up being something that's only samach, yes.
Which is like our Mishnah.
Yeah, but you have to remember, in our Mishnah we weren't talking about a sukkah of a mitzvah. We're talking about a sukkah on Pesach and Shavuos, a gazebo. There the issue was either taking apart a structure. When do you have a problem? Taking the wood is called taking part of the structure. Taking the schak is called taking part of the structure. Or like the Beitsa we said is talking about where it fell down. Then you have a problem of muksa. So yes, I agree with you. The truth of the matter is everything. Maybe that's the unifying principle in this Beitsa. Even though it seems to be talking about a number of different things, you can say the unifying principle is if something's really part of the sukkah, then it's almost, there's very little chance you can use it. Except according to Rabbi Shimon, that if it fell down and you were expecting it to fall down, then you could use it. But basically all the other cases, as long as something's actually part of the sukkah, you can't use it. But when we talk about being able to make a tanai or some other reason why you can now use it, it's usually because what happened was it never became part of the sukkah.
What about decorations that are for the sukkah to have money do for the sukkah?
Most times when you hang up ornaments, you want them to become part of the sukkah. That is your intention. In order to know you really didn't want it to become part of the sukkah, you have to make this declaration. You have to make this tanai. Tanai is basically a declaration that I don't want it to become part of the sukkah. I'm not separating from it, meaning I completely want to have full usage and full ownership of this thing during the all Bein Shmashos. Whenever the kedusha is chal, it won't be chal on this. Okay, that's what I would say is the pshat in this now, the new pshat in the Beitsa according to Bayan and Rava.
You have to make a condition against some of these decoration for the sukkah.
We'll have to see the Rashis now.
The word tzarayavahu, is that an explanation?
Sorry?
Tzarayavahu.
The word tarvaihu,
Yeah.
it's like the Hebrew word shnehem.
Oh, I see.
Because the word tray means to. Okay, so just 1 second. I think we should stop to do a few Rashis now, if everyone, unless we have more questions in the Gemora before Rashi.
What's your Rosh, isn't it?
I'm just happy with you.
Call it for you tonight, right?
Excuse me?
I'll call it for you tonight, right?
Where should we start?
I think we're finished up and so on, but it's Yafi.
Itra?
Yeah.
You see that one, Struli?
Itra.
That was the beginning of the Beitsa that said, after you made it into a proper sukkah, then Itra, he went ahead and
Crown it.
crowned it what?
Yafi Beitsa means not sheets.
Right.
Karmi means
Blankets.
Mitzvah Karmi. Designed with sheets.
No, I think the word mitsuyarim goes with the previous word. Sadinim ukramim mitsuyarim, period.
Yep.
And then Rashi tells you, what does this word kramim really mean? Kramim means big day sivonim. You know what that means?
Clothing of color, right?
Colored clothing, but you see here the word clothing doesn't always mean like a shirt and a jacket. I don't think people are hanging up shirts and jackets on their sukkah. It means a cloth or a fabric.
Mm-hmm.
So it's colored fabrics.
Yep.
Shikorin,
Shikorin Uvritz.
some kind of French word, and Sadinim are really referring to what?
One means bricks, right? No.
That's Levanim.
One means
Levanim comes the word Lavan, Bait Halavan.
white.
Levanim would mean that we're talking about everything's made out of fabric. So Rosh saying Kramim means fabric that is
colored.
And Sadini means
Levanim
Levanim, white sheets made out of flax. Okay? What we call in English linens.
Baby's diapers are made of.
Okay?
Yep.
So that's something he hung up on the walls to make it look like wallpaper, nice, beautiful wallpaper of some sort, or yenos, or shmanim, or salassos. Another thing he could have hung up, wines, or oils, or flour. How would you hang up flour? Says Rashi. How do you hang these things up?
Glass cups.
Right. And you do that.
Put in a glass cup.
You do that for what? No, you just said the next Rashi, but I'm still in the previous Rashi.
Lanoi for beauty.
For beauty, right? For adornment. So you could take a glass cup, like a crystal cup, or today we have a lot of different kinds of glass cups. Pour in wine, it'll look red. Pour in another thing, it'll look different, than a different color. And then you could also put even flour, it'll look white. It makes it look nice. If you have different kinds of cups with different kinds of, it's almost like a museum piece.
You wash them first.
Please do.
Stuck in that before, I don't know why.
Put your head down when you go across the camera.
Put my head down before shear.
Okay, well, maybe you need a stronger coffee.
What is everyone now, though?
It's that time of the day.
Yeah.
It's a taste of what's to come, right? For some of us.
I imagine when we get to the next world, we won't fall asleep.
I'm talking about tonight, after 10. Much closer than that.
Maybe. Okay, the next Rashi.
I call it according to the Tanai.
His Tanai. So whatever Tanai he makes, it can go everything will go according to the Tanai he makes. Says Rashi, Midikatani, which means what?
From that, our Mishnah.
Yes, that's literally what it means, but mid usually means from the fact that, not just from that.
From the fact that.
From the fact that what? Just a second. Midikatani means from the fact that what? Katani. Mid means from the fact that. You still left the rest of the word, Katani.
Our Mishnah.
We learned in our Mishnah, or learned here in a Beitsa. Here it's talking about the Beitsa. So Midikatani means what? From the fact that what? That we learned in this Beitsa.
Asur and his tapek mahayim. It's asur to use them.
Right. Since the Beitsa, in other words, starts out by telling you these fruits are asur to use. What? Shmamina.
Shmamina, understand?
No, Shmamina means we hear from this, or one should hear from this. You can deduce from that, in other words, from the fact that it said these fruits are asur, whatever.
Pitlei lahu. Batli. Lahu.
So that means what? We've seen this already a few times in Rashi. He made it batal. He did this act of making it batal.
They're not separated together.
He wants to make it part of the sukkah. Batli lahu lagabi sukkah. He nullified them literally towards the sukkah. Nullifying it means he took away its identity as grapes, no longer grapes.
Part of the sukkah now.
It's part of the sukkah, it's an adornment. Right? That's what he gets by putting it there and leaving it there and wanting it to be part of the sukkah. He took away the identity of it being grapes and he's now nullified that and made it part of the sukkah. That's exactly what Rashi says. First of all, Batlu Lagabi Sukkah, he nullified their identity, took away their identity towards the Sukkah, meaning in favor of the Sukkah. Therefore, what happens automatically in that case? V'havi Lahu, they do become like the Sukkah. That's exactly the way, Baruch Hashem, I think I explained it before. That once he has an intention to leave it there, just like we talked about the schach once upon a time, that he wants it to be there, wants to leave it there, it becomes part of the sukkah. Here also, if he wants to leave it there to become part of the sukkah, it really does become part of the sukkah. And once that happened, Mihani.
Doesn't help.
No, it does help.
Doesn't?
Where do you see doesn't?
Helps.
Someone's eyes are playing tricks on them.
Yeah.
Vika Amar, and the Mishnah said, the Beitsa said, that the Tanai is Mahani, that the condition helps. The last part of the Beitsa said that even after all that I just said, after he hung up all these things and it was usher for him to use them because they became part of the sukkah, well, if you make it Tanai, it's okay. Then you can use them.
Helps by the decorations.
Yes. So now, at this point, we're thinking it helps on the entire sukkah, because when these things became usher, it's because they became part of the sukkah. If you say a Tanai helps, that means a Tanai helps on the sukkah. So it seems like now we're not distinguishing. We say, look, Tanai helps. These things became part of the sukkah. And if you make a Tanai, you can use them. It looks like the Tanai helps, even on a sukkah of a mitzvah. Seems to stop the Kedusha from coming. How does that work? So Bai and Rava say, you know how it works?
Should we do this Rashi?
Please do.
They both say, Lo Deloy Damu Sukkah Inyan Hana, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not similar to the Sukkah regarding beauty,
No. The word Tanai.
Tanai, conditions.
What's not similar to a sukkah?
This decorations.
Right. And by the way, the word damu is plural to clue you in on it. They are not similar to a sukkah. What's the they? In this Beitsa, first he made the sukkah and then he put up the decorations. If you're talking about they, you're talking about the decorations.
Yeah, I forgot the battle the Gabe. You had a battle by it.
Even though when he hung them there, they became batal. Still, they're not exactly like the sukkah. Why?
Honey, tonight, because when the tonight helps, the idea I said was still area.
Yeah, and what did he say be'erev Yom Tov?
I'm going to separate from them.
Yeah, I'm not separating from them. What?
Yes, Kochi was the Chusai.
I'm not going to separate from being, from the being, mihiyos, kochi,
Strength, right?
my strength, this chusi, and my merit
on them.
in them.
What they separate now.
I'm not separating from these things. I still own them completely. My koach is in them, my schus is in them. I'm not giving up my rights to these things. Lit lan, to have the right to take them.
Yeah. Kol
shahut
or Shabin Hashmashos.
shel erev Yom Tov. Kol shahut,
In the hour.
meaning, no, not sha'ot, shahut, the duration, all the duration of
Erev Yom Tov.
the length of Bein Hashmashos of the Erev Yom Tov, meaning as Erev Yom Tov is turning into Yom Tov, that Bein Hashmashos, where Erev Yom Tov turns into Yom Tov, that whole Bein Hashmashos, I am not removing myself from these objects. I am still what? The full owner.
Yep. Still full owner. Is it when you're using the head muscles a lot, they also get tired of brain? When you try and focus a lot?
Yep.
That's what happens also?
Have you ever trained for a sporting event? Everything g's tired. Without a coach standing over you telling you to keep going, you just stop.
So you're not the coach.
That's right. It's not an answer that we got tired. Everyone gets tired. That's normally what happens when you use a muscle. It gets tired. But you only grow if someone's standing there pushing you, and if eventually you can push yourself to keep going.
Yep.
So what did Rashi say so far? What's the pshat in Abai and Rabba's Tanai? It's not really Tanai in this traditional sense of a word. It's more like a declaration. I'm declaring that what?
I'm not separating something all the duration from various rushes of area.
And not separating means I have full what?
Full control.
Rights.
Full
Control,
rights.
exactly. Rights and control of these objects to take them at whatever point I want, Rashi said. That's the pshat. Litzlan is I want to take them, the whole time I have a right to take them. I'm not giving that up. And therefore what? The fact that I don't give up my rights to these things affects that what? Hilkach.
Hilkach, therefore, B'shas was
Bi'as.
Hayom.
At the time of what?
Day came in front of.
The moment when Yom Tov starts, which by the way is the moment when this sukkah starts to be a sukkah and the kedusha starts to come onto the sukkah.
Shahaisa kedusha tzricha
Lachul Aleihim, that's when what?
You need the Kedusha to fall.
That's when the Kedusha needed to come. At that first moment is when the Kedusha should be coming upon all the sukkah and everything about it. It didn't. Why didn't it? Because they weren't part of the sukkah. Cosmetically, they looked like they were part of the sukkah, but halachically they weren't. Why? Because I never gave up my rights to have full control of them. Therefore, they never really were batal. That's the key. That one word bittul is the key that goes through this whole sugya. Was there bittul? Yes or no? If there was, then we're in trouble. If there wasn't, then we could still have some control over the situation. Right? And therefore, they never became part of the sukkah. Therefore, the Kedusha was never chal. Therefore, of course, I can take it when I want. Lefichach. Lo huksa. They never became designated or separated away, pushed away from my usage. Right?
Pushed away.
Right. Therefore, I never gave up usage of them. I can continue using them whenever I want. Nothing's there to prevent me.
That's why it works.
Aval, but
I'd say sukkah, the wood of the sukkah.
That's a whole different ball game.
Not able to have pleasure from there.
No. Lehasnos means to make a tonight.
To make a condition.
Yeah. You can't make a condition on the walls. What would you say? I don't want these walls to become part of the sukkah. They're sukkah. What are you going to say? They're not a sukkah? Can I say that's not a wall? It's a wall. Right? You can't make a tonight on them, Rashi says.
You force to separate from the two bereshmashos.
Right. You can't say I could take these walls. You can't take those walls. They're part of the sukkah. Oh, no. Rashi's saying another thing here. You know why I can't take those walls? If I start to take any part of that wall, I'll be breaking the halacha of Seiser.
Yeah.
I can't do that, can I?
No.
So therefore I can't make this declaration about the walls. I can't say, no, if I really want to take these walls, I'm going to take them. You can say it, but you can't. It's not going to help you. But if I say about the grape, I don't want it to become part of the wall, it's hanging on the wall, but I don't want to become part of the wall, then it's not batal to the wall. If it's not batal to the wall, if I take it, will it be a problem of soiser? No. But the wall, I can't make that condition. I don't want the wall to become part of the wall, therefore I can take part of the wall. No, you can't. The wall is a wall.
What does Ohala mean?
Ohel.
On the tent.
That's how we talk about building and taking apart buildings. We say it was building on Ohel or it was taking apart an Ohel. A building is just another way of saying Ohel. Ohel is like saying building.
Sofik Yomtov, who? Sofik Yomtov, Chal Kedush Aleya. The Kedush falls upon it.
No, he's saying a new thing now. Bein Hashmashos. You know what Bein Hashmashos is?
Sofik Yomtov.
He's calling it Safik Yomtov. It's very interesting. Now, I don't, any point during Bein Hashmashos, can you tell me for sure it's Yomtov? No, that's what makes it Bein Hashmashos. Every moment is a suffix. Maybe Yom Tov just started, maybe Yom Tov hasn't started. Right?
Yes.
So am I allowed to take apart the wall during Bein Hashmashos?
Nope.
Why not? You can't tell me it's not Yom Tov.
It's still suffix.
It might be, it might not be Yom Tov. So it's a suffix. What happens in a suffix? Can I do a malacha in a suffix?
Nope.
No. Suffix to Raisa L'chumra, right? So Rashi's banking on that. Since every moment during Bein Hashmashos is a suffix. So even though you can't tell me for sure I'm doing an Issa, but you can't tell me it's mutter either. So therefore, every moment during Bein Hashmashos, I cannot take part of the wall. Because maybe it's really Yom Tov, but it's a suffix, but maybe it's still Yom Tov. It's enough to make it usher to take. And therefore what? Therefore, when Yom Tov comes, it becomes a sukkah, and it becomes kedusha. And then
And through this Kedusha, it's pushed aside for 7 days ago.
Right, that's how it works. Something becomes hektish, it's now hektish for all of 7 days.
Automatic.
It's a 7-day, it's a full package deal.
I'd say sukkah's automatically becomes part of
If something becomes hektish because it's part of the sukkah, then it's for all 7 days. You know, it might have to do with the pasuk. It says Shivas Yamim Lashem. Right? It's like the Torah is saying, it's going to be it's going to be Kodesh, it's going to be hektish all 7 days. Okay, that was a very good Rashi. Should probably go over it a few times, but what's the main point of the Rashi? This condition of Abai and Rava, you know what it helps? Only with the...
For decorations.
For the decorations. Because the decorations are something you can actually say, I want to take it sometime during Ben Ishmashas, and we can't tell you not to do that.
I want my rights to be on them. I want to...
I have the rights, and if I have the rights, I could take it. And it never became part of the sukkah, that you could say, I'm taking apart the sukkah. But the walls, you can't do that to. The walls are objectively a building which you cannot take apart. And even during Ben Ishmash, it was only a suffix, doesn't matter, it's still usr. So therefore, that condition is not going to help you for the walls. But for the other stuff, you could help you. And that's why we'd have to say that if with this Bryce is saying you Tanai helps on the adornments, but not on the wood of the sukkah. So we can actually go back to the original Beitsa that said, in a sukkah during sukkahs, a mitzvah of sukkah, the sukkah of a mitzvah, everybody agrees, shaving, that you can't take the wood, right? Even if it fell down.
Yep.
But if you made it tonight, then it's okay. Now, does that mean you can make it tonight in the wood? No, because we just Rashi just explained it. Tanai, even one Tanai that we found does work, it only works on the adornments. And only because we have a special reason why the adornments don't have to become part of the sukkah. But the walls of the sukkah, the real Atzei sukkah, a Tanai is not going to help. So we have to come on to the same answer, really, as we said before. At the end of the Beitsa, it says, a Tanai helps. The first Beitsa, where Rabbi Shimon was matir, where the sukkah fell down and all of that. When it says at the end of that Beitsa, the Tanai helps, is the Tanai help on the wood of the sukkah? Not if it's a sukkah of a mitzvah. If it's saying that it does help, it must be going back, like Reb Menashe bar Rava said, that it's going back on what? Sukkah d'alma. On a regular sukkah that's like a gazebo type of sukkah that's talking about Pesach and Shavuos.
So this whole question about Kol Tanai is a question, how do you say can help? How could you say that Tanai helps?
Right, so the Beitsa did seem to say it helps even on the wood. We still have to go with that answer, the original answer of Reb Menashe bar Rava, that last line of the Beitsa must be going back to the original case of a Sukkah d'alma.
Not a Sukkah mitzvah. You see that doesn't...
And there we had a Machlokes, Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Huda, that if it fell down, can you use the wood? And we have to say that if you made it tonight, it would help.
What about tables and chairs in a sukkah? We don't really say, we don't make it tonight.
They don't become part of the sukkah.
It's not part of the sukkah? Because they're not hanging from the walls.
It's not the structure called sukkah. It's just something that's once you had a sukkah, you put something in there. Just like you can walk into a sukkah, but you're not part of the sukkah.
Right.
You can put a couch in there. It's not part of the. Not the sukkah.
It's not a decorative thing.
No, you're not decorating the sukkah. You're living in the sukkah. It says live inside of a sukkah. So I have a sukkah. I want to live in there. That's the Torah told me. Once you have a sukkah, live inside of it. I'm just living inside of it. But not really part of the sukkah. It's, in a general way, we say, oh, that's the table for the sukkah. But it's the table for the sukkah. It's not the table of the sukkah. It's not the table that's part of the sukkah. It didn't become part of the sukkah. Okay. So let's see the last part of the Gemora now, if it's possible. Maybe we'll even be able to get to the 2 dots, possibly. So the Gemora says, Umay Shna.
He's reading.
Shabtai, you want to try it?
I'll try. Yeshiva, then for 7 days, right? V'mai Shena, what's the difference?
Miha. From this.
From this, yeah.
Te.
Itmar.
Itmar.
We say.
That was said. Meaning the following thing that we found said. Meaning we're going to now discuss something, and once we discuss it, we're really asking about it. Why is that different than what we just talked about?
So they're using another example.
Another example.
What does ha mean from this?
Ha means this in this case, right? Sometimes ha can mean behold.
In this case.
Yeah. This following case, to Itmar, that was said about the following case, that what?
The hafrish
Hifrish.
Hifrish, to separate Shiva.
No, it's a verb. If a man separated.
If a man separated Shiva, etrogenim. Seven
different esrogim.
The Shevat Hayamim for 7 days.
Right, he said, this is the esrog I'm going to use on the first day, this is the esrog I'm going to use on the second day. It all worked out.
Mamar Rav, Kol Achad Achad Yotza. You're fulfilling the mitzvah with each and every one of them.
But that's not a chiddush. You don't need to be told you can fulfill the mitzvah with the esrog. But he's saying every single one that you've set aside for the mitzvah, every day you go ahead and use it because that's what you wanted. You wanted to use each one for a separate day. Yod Seba. Go ahead and use it to fulfill the mitzvah. And then Le'alter.
And eat it later.
No, alter means immediately.
Oh.
Some people say that on Rosh Hashanah. Tichasem b'seichasem le'alter l'chaim toiv v'l'shalom. Please be written immediately in the book of life. Le'alter. In Yiddish it means old. But here it's not Yiddish. What?
It can be eaten, right? Right away.
Ochla, he eats it. Le'alter, right away. Right?
Yeah.
Which Tosfos says, by the way, it doesn't mean right away, but we'll have to decide whether Rashi learns that way.
Rav Asi Amar Kol Achad Yotza Ba V'Ochla L'Machar. So he says you can fulfill the condition with each and every one of them and each of the following day.
Yeah. Tosfos happens to feel that on the first day, everyone would agree you can't eat it anytime during the first day. But on all the other days, you'd have this machlokus, Rav and Ravasi. As soon as you finish with the mitzvah of that particular day, can you eat it right away? Or you have to set it aside for the rest of the day. Okay? But, this is what I think we're discussing. I set aside an esrog for the mitzvah. Right? Way in advance, right? Before the Chag even came. So as soon as the Chag came, each one of these esrogim is specifically dedicated to one day. So when I pick up that esrog, it's an esrog that's already been committed to that entire day to be used as an esrog. So how come, let's say Rav says, I can use it right away. And Ravasi says, no, you have to wait till tomorrow. But at least tomorrow you can eat it. But you don't have to wait all 7 days. You don't have to wait till the end of Sukkot to eat it.
It's the whole day.
One day, you have to wait 1 day, but not the entire 7 days.
So a day is a day, right?
But you don't have to wait 7 days.
Oh no, you don't have to wait 7 days. Who says you have to wait 7 days?
But we were saying before that once you've set aside something for a sukkah, it's also for all 7 days.
Right.
So we're saying why? Why are they different? I think that's what it's saying. We'll have to see when we get to the Rashi what the real kasha was. If you want me, you can see the Rashi right now to see what the kasha is. Why don't we stop now and see the Rashi? My shanami ha.
We had a loy Amma be'esrog. So we don't say it's be'esrog. Shum ben hashmashos kamai. The first base of ben hashmashos
Let it be now pushed aside for all 7 days. Maybe the first Bein Hashmashos should now come in, and we should say now this esrog is also for all 7 days. Chad Yom. We don't say for all 7 days it's asur, we only say for 1 day, let's say according to Ravasi.
Because from when you made it tonight on the 1 day of Yom Tov.
Once he made it tonight. If he made it tonight for 1 day, then it helps. If he made it tonight for 1 day, I think he's saying like this. Even though when Bein Hashmashos came in, you gave it up for the mitzvah, right? You wanted this to be for the mitzvah. You didn't separate from it. Meaning, you wanted it to be for the mitzvah. Sorry, you did separate from it. Right? This esrog, I want it to be for the mitzvah. I want it to be for day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. I'm separating myself from it for the mitzvah. Right?
Yes.
So how come when the day comes, I say, oh, but after 1 day, after that day, you can use it. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a question of the Gemora. So let's go back to the Gemora now.
Hashem, over there.
The reason is because over there, which will be the case of the esrogim, leilot,
that the days are separate from the nights.
Right, because the mitzvah of Sukkot goes on all 7 days, day and night, but the mitzvah of esrog only goes day, and every night is already like off. It's like time off. So since every night is off, as soon as that day's over, the mitzvah's finished. Because that night is not going to be connected to the mitzvah anymore. So then we say, Kol Chad V'Chad, each one of these esrogim is a yom of the mitzvah, Ba'al Pei Nafshehu. It's all a separate day. There's no connection from today till tomorrow because the night separates it. So let's say this esrog was kodesh to some extent. It was pushed away. It was muksa. But at the end of the day, that stops. You know why that stops? Because the mitzvah's over. So of course it doesn't carry over till tomorrow. Whereas the sukkah, as soon as the first day's over, you don't say, oh, the mitzvah's over. It keeps going. Aval hacha. Hacha.
Rashi.
Gemora. Delo mafsiku leilos miyamim, that we don't have a break of the nights from the day. So therefore, kula yomi, all the days end up being what? Kichada yoma. It's like one long day. So once I set it up, it's all one long day. Arichta dummy. It's all like one long day. So once the kedusha came on, or once it was pushed away for the mitzvah, that remains. There's nothing stopping that, because every moment is connected to that mitzvah that originally pushed it away from me. So there's no moment in which that stops. So therefore, it remains in that kind of limbo stage for all 7 days. As long as the mitzvah's there, it's pushed away from me. It's a special kind of a muksa called muksa machmas mitzvah. I want it to be for the mitzvah. Now, as long as that mitzvah is there, the thing is muksa, the thing is pushed away from me. But if the mitzvah stops, then it's like taking electricity out of the thing. Of course, it turns off. So in an esrog, which every night the mitzvah stops, therefore, even if it was pushed away from me, but it's only till the end of the day. Once the nighttime comes and the mitzvah is no longer there to keep it away from me, it comes back to me. Whereas a sukkah, it was pushed away from me, and there's no moment at which it comes back to me, because it's part of the mitzvah of sukkah the entire 7 days with no breaks.